the start of the movie, a group of archaeologists are exploring some dangerous caves in Pennsylvania. As they venture deeper, they come across a large mine which appears to be a big find. This sends them into a state of ecstasy, and they begin celebrating. However, little did they know that they have actually awoken some deadly beings. In a matter of seconds, the researchers are attacked by several flying creatures. They are brutally killed and devoured. After this, the flying creatures escape to the outside world to find more human flesh. We're then taken to a high school in Montclair, New Jersey, where Ally Andrews, a deaf teenager, endures cruel mockery from a group of bullies for her hearing impairment. However, she appears to be unbothered and decides to walk all the way home. It is revealed that Ally's hearing loss resulted from a car accident 3 years ago, which tragically claimed the lives of her beloved grandparents. Despite this adversity, she effectively communicates through sign language, lip reading, and speaking. In the meantime, Rob, a kind-hearted classmate, comes forward and offers to accompany Ally on her way home. It is apparent that the two have feelings for each other, but are too shy to admit it. Ally's parents, Hugh and Kelly, are well aware of the fact that she is always bullied by other students. They have tried every way to protect her, but all in vain. The rest of the family members include Ally's maternal grandmother, Lynn, who is struggling with lung cancer, her younger brother, Jude, and their lovely dog, Otis. One night, Ally is suddenly woken up from her sleep and summoned to the living room. To her utter shock, her entire family is watching the TV in a worried state. All doors and windows appear to be barred by plastic. Then, the news reports that a mysterious alien species is causing havoc across the United States. They are completely blind, but can track and kill humans even if a tiny noise is made. Because of their dinosaur-like appearance, they have been labeled as Vesps. The news report then shows videos of various people who have fallen victim to these creatures. In one such video, a woman is nervously holding a sign which says "Don't make noise." In the background, her daughter's mouth has been taped shut so that she doesn't scream. At the end, the news report concludes by saying that the US has declared a state of emergency, so all the families should stay indoors without making any noise. Fearing that they might be in trouble, Ally suggests that they escape to the countryside, since it is quieter there. Hugh immediately agrees, and so the family starts packing. After a while, their close neighbor, Glenn, also joins them, bringing guns along with him. Elsewhere, we are shown a gut-wrenching montage of the creatures destroying the city. In an underground metro, blood is splattered everywhere along with several dead bodies. The survivors have crammed inside the train carriage, praying that the creatures will go away. Just then, a baby starts crying, much to everyone's horror. When his mother fails to calm him down, the rest of the passengers kick them out of the carriage. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a fatal decision, as in the blink of an eye, the mother-son duo is swarmed by the creatures. On the other hand, as the Andrews family stop at a gas station to refuel, a shady-looking man suddenly shows up and holds Ally at gunpoint. He demands that the family give up their car so that he can escape the city. Hugh, fearful that his daughter might get hurt, almost hands in the keys, but right then, Glenn shows up and shoots the man in the foot. After this, the family takes his gun and leaves him to die alone. However, they are not able to reach far as a massive traffic jam has blocked all the highways. It turns out all the people in the city are trying to head to the countryside. Glenn, who seems to know his way around, proposes that they take a detour. He then leads them through a road that is completely isolated. Suddenly, a herd of fleeing deers jump out of the woods. Glenn swerves his car violently in order to avoid collision, but ends up tumbling down the barrier. The Andrews family witness all this and frantically rush to help him. To their relief, he is alive but trapped inside the car. Time is running out, and Ally tries calling for help, but there is no signal in the area. Even Hugh is unable to open the car's door with a wrench. When nothing works, Glenn requests that the Andrews leave without him. He calls himself dead weight, and mentions that he is only going to slow him down. Hugh refuses the idea instantly, but after a lot of convincing, he reluctantly agrees. He then leaves with his family, but promises to come back with help. After a while, they reach their car and prepare to leave, but just then, Otis starts barking. Panic ensues and the Vesps immediately swarm the car. When Glenn realizes what's going on, he fires some shots in the air and lures the creatures towards him. Unfortunately, the sacrifice goes into vain as Otis keeps on barking. Hugh tries his best to shut him up, but when nothing works, he reluctantly throws his beloved dog out of the car, seemingly to his death. Realizing that the car will only attract the Vesps, the Andrews make the tough call to leave it behind. Hugh then sets the car on fire to divert the attention of the relentless Vesps. After this, the family starts walking through the woods, hoping that they can find a safe place to take shelter. As they walk for hours, Lynn's coughing becomes worse, causing concern for the entire family. By evening, they stumble upon a house nestled in the woods. It is enclosed by a tall fence and a locked gate. Unfortunately, their arrival attracts the attention of the Vesps, and at the same time, the homeowner also comes out. Due to the isolated location of the house, she is unaware of the creatures, so she rushes outside, screaming at the intruders while brandishing a gun. Sadly, she is immediately surrounded and torn apart by the Vesps. The Andrews watch all this go down in horror, knowing that they have inadvertently killed an innocent woman. Nonetheless, Hugh remains focused and looks for a way inside the property. After a bit of searching, he finds a small tunnel and uses it to get inside the compound. Then, he operates the wood chipper machine and lures all the Vesps towards him. The plan works and the evil creatures are mercilessly shredded to pieces. However, during the commotion, Kelly is bitten in the leg. In the next scene, the family enters the house and makes themselves comfortable. Ally somehow connects to Rob via video call and learns that his parents have been killed by the creatures. Worried, she asks him to join him in the countryside. But before he can respond, the call disconnects. The next day, Lynn carefully examines Kelly's wound and discovers signs of infection. Hence, Hugh makes the tough decision to venture into the city in search of antibiotics. Ally also joins him, despite all the family members urging her to stay. After scavenging through the deserted city, they finally come across a store and head inside. Hugh starts gathering the supplies, but right then, Ally accidentally makes some noise and attracts the Vesps. Things are about to take a turn for the worse, but fortunately, Hugh manages to turn on the fire sprinklers just in time. This distracts the deadly creatures for a while, allowing the father-daughter duo to escape. However, once they reach outside, they are confronted by a menacing-looking revered, who has apparently cut his tongue. It is revealed that he is the leader of a notorious cult group that is infamous for killing non-believers. The Reverend signals them to join him, but Hugh straight out refuses and walks away with his daughter. They safely reach home and administer the antibiotics on Kelly, making her feel better. Unfortunately, that evening, the Reverend and his followers show up outside the house and demand that Hugh join their cult. When the latter refuses, the Reverend hisses in a creepy way and then displays a note, which reads the girl is fertile. Seeing this, an enraged Hugh brings out his gun and threatens the cult members to leave. The Reverend is sure that Hugh is not going to pull the trigger, as it will attract the Vesps. But nonetheless, he leaves them be, at least for the time being. When the clock strikes 12, the Andrews are woken up by loud noises coming from outside. Hugh quickly grabs his gun and checks the front door, where he sees a frightened little girl. He suspects that it's a trap and decides to send her away, but Kelly goes against his orders and lets the girl in. The family then interrogates the girl on how she ended up here, but she doesn't speak. Just then, Hugh checks her mouth and discovers that she doesn't have a tongue. To make matters worse, her body has been strapped with several mobile phones, which are like time bombs at this point. The next second, the mobile phones start ringing at once, sending the family into a complete state of frenzy. This attracts the creatures as expected, and they start breaking through the windows. Hugh dumps all the phones inside the water, but the damage has already been done. On the other hand, the cult members have already entered the house through the basement. They first knock Kelly out and then abduct Ally. Seeing this, the courageous grandmother, Lynn, runs after the cult members and grabs two of them. She then screams at the top of her lungs and attracts the Vesps. In no time, the deadly creatures arrive and tear the two men apart. Unfortunately, Lynn is also shredded to pieces. When the commotion finally ends, Hugh arrives at the scene, but it's too late as the Reverend has already left with his daughter. Just when it appears as if all hope is lost, it starts raining heavily. This creates a lot of noise, meaning that the creatures won't be able to hear human moments anymore. When Hugh realizes this, an idea strikes his mind. He leads his family towards the cult members and launches a brutal ambush from behind. Hugh and the Reverend then engage in a deadly tussle, which goes back and forth for a while. But in the end, it is Hugh who gains the upper hand and smashes the Reverend using the rifle. At the same time, an enraged Kelly also manages to kill the rest of the cult members with the help of Jude. When the coast is finally clear, the Andrews are left face to face with the girl, who was strapped with mobile phones earlier. Her mother is also present, probably a victim to the Reverend. Hugh stares at them for a while and eventually lets them go, knowing that they are innocent. The movie then cuts by a few weeks. The Andrews have since relocated to another part of the country, which is now known as the Refuge. Many call it the safest place in the United States. The movie ends as Ally reunites with her love interest, Rob, and they officially start dating.